Hey everybody, it's Flyin Ryan here with some more user-made mods for the Cheerson CX-10 and the Estes Proto-X or the Hubsan Q4. I've got some 3D printed bumpers for the CX-10 and these little landing boots for the CX-10 and the Proto-X. The landing boots, you can order whatever colors you want. They've got a bunch of different colors, and I got them in two tones so I can have red in the back and green in the front to help with orientation. The bumpers I got in green for the front and white in the back to match the prop colors, so pretty cool how they all kind of help with orientation. We'll start with the bumpers. So these are, just 3D printed material, so it's a little bit brittle. I've already broken one of them here in a crash. The arm broke there. So this 3D printed material isn't really best suited for this sort of application, but they do work for a little while and probably help you from bending a bunch of props. So probably worth it though. Just do keep in mind that these aren't going to be indestructible. The landing boots are kind of interesting. They're just little, these are rubber and these are kind of like a foam, and they just kind of give more of a soft landing. The CX-10 ones here are kind of like a little bit of an opaque sort of rubber, so the LEDs actually kind of glow through them a little bit. I forgot to say with the prop guards here, the LEDs glow. They make the prop guards glow nice and bright too, so that's pretty cool looking. I don't know if it'll really show up in the light or not, but yeah, it does it kind of makes the whole guard glow, so that's kind of cool. And then for the Proto-X or the Q4 here, they're kind of just like a foam material, and it's a little squishy foam, so it gives it a nice soft landing. Let's see, I've got a bunch of stats here. So the CX-10 prop guards weigh about 1.1 grams total for all four. And let's see, with the flight time on that, you get about 3.5 minute flights. LVC kicks on in about 2 minutes and 40 seconds, so you get quite a bit of flight after LVC. All of these seem to tend to make LVC turn on a little bit earlier than normal. I think just because the motors are working harder, it seems like the battery is more drained than it really is, so you get quite a bit of flight after the LVC warning. The CX-10 boots weigh 2.1 grams, so pretty heavy, quite a bit heavier than the prop guards. With the boots on, you get about 3 minute flights, and the LVC warning kicks on in about 2.5 minutes. And the Proto-X boots weigh about 0.6 grams. And with those on, you get about 3.5 minute flights, but I found that the LVC actually kicked on at about a minute. So the flight continued on for 2.5 minutes after LVC kicked on. So don't be fooled by the LVC warning if you're flying with one of these. You will probably get quite a bit of flight after the warning. I think that's really about all there is to say about them as far as stats and whatnot go. They're all kind of, for me, they're mostly visual mods. I just thought they looked cool. Functionality wise, they're a little bit, lackluster. The boots don't really have much purpose. I mean, I don't know that they'd really guard the motors or whatnot so much. The Proto or the CX-10 ones, at least one of them doesn't even really kind of quite cover the bottom. So I mean, you can hear it still hits the ground a little bit, so it's not even really doing that much to create a soft landing. But the Proto-X ones have plenty of clearance beyond the motor, so those definitely work well for a soft landing. You can put these boots on with the prop guards. It looks kind of cool, but they're pretty loose fit, so they may be more likely to fall off that way. You could probably glue them in place, but I think if you flew with both of these on, you're going to get pretty short flight times, though. I did find that the Proto-X boots tend to fall off easier than the other boots. Just not as grippy of a material. So I did find that those would tend to fall off, you know, if a little bit of a crash or, you know, I think sometimes in flips they went flying. Let's see. Oh, the Proto-X boots do block the LEDs just a little bit. Since the LED is kind of on the bottom of the circuit board there, it kind of blocks them a little bit. But you can still see them. It's just a little bit harder. Oh, and flip recovery is, you know, obviously much slower with any of these extra weight on it, you know, as you would expect. It makes the recovery take a little bit longer. Yeah, I think that's about all I have to say. I'm not going to do any flight reviews. You know, it's just, you know, what you can expect. I think all the flight times are the important details. Otherwise, flight is pretty much, you know, unchanged. The motors work a little bit harder, so you can hear them, you know, making a little bit more noise, but they, you know, they all still fly well and nice and nimble. Just a little bit shorter flight times. All right, well, I've got the links for any of these in the video description if you want to go check them out. And I thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.